right, hello, everybody. Welcome to DangIT Prodcast, the show where we talk about video games, anime, manga. My name is Justin, and welcome back, everybody. Actually, I did the full formal intro. Usually, I'll just kind of like add something at the end where it's like, okay, let's be honest with ourselves. I'm being honest with myself. I'm probably not gonna really talk about manga, but maybe some anime here and there. But no, I mean, I didn't mean to do it. It just kind of like happened. It was free form. And, I guess it's just part of the tradition, especially as we're introducing ourselves in 2026. This is the first 2026 podcast that we got going on, or at least episode for the podcast. Now, it is what episode 572. The number doesn't necessarily mean anything. At this point, I would just kind of keep doing what I'm doing for as long as I just kind of feel like it. And you know what? I was just immediately reminded. So everything, just FYI, everything here is just kind of off script unless I have a very particular like topic in mind. And I have some outlines to talk about for this one, but I just remembered the reason I do like the podcast in the first place. The reason for it was because it's a means to connect with friends that would otherwise be distant from each other when all parties are like, well, it'd be nice if we just hung out a little bit more, but like, how do we do that? And some friends will facilitate just hangouts, others will sit down and talk with me on podcast or both. We're seeing if we can do something, but clearly today we're doing a solo pod because Phil's currently busy with like stuff with like his job. And what was it? Mark and Anaya both have family situations going on. I call it the family obligation double whammy. It just kind of happened, and for Anaya it was totally last minute. But we'll see if the guys want to hang out like later on. But I guess for the time being for the podcast, you guys got me. So it's a little interesting, a little weird, since I typically just do like solo like streams, just generally speaking, and I just talk a lot about things that are just going on personally. But we will definitely treat it as just so that everyone's just tuning in for the podcast for the first time in like 2026 and not just following like each individual person here. So, as you can say, or that is to say, we did take a whole week off. I think nowadays I'm just totally okay with that, but I used to be like really hardcore with doing the weekly pods all the time without skipping a beat. But in this case, I decided to take the week off because of holiday stuff. I was spending time with friends and family like day by day. It was a really nice Christmas holiday. And then following after that would be like a very short like work week, followed by like New Year's holiday for me. So things just kind of lined up for me. So it's just been a nice break. I am kind of saddened over the fact that that's gonna end soon, and we're gonna just be working. But the problem is that like even though I have like so much energy and vision ahead of me just for 2026, my goals, resolutions, which we'll talk about to a certain extent. But I also know that when it comes to like my job, I mean, yeah, we have ambitions here and there, but like the work just keeps piling up. And as much as I like that consistency, we're not in like the greatest place like right now, just because like there's just been a whole bunch of shifts, and that's as vague as I can ever be with that. Okay, so I guess what I should probably go through is maybe just like brief things that happened since we were gone, since you've been gone. I can't brief. So we last left off on the podcast. We were talking about pickups as usual. I was with Mark, and I remember now he was talking about the deadliest tree in the world, and it's mind-boggling. You guys have to have tuned in for that one. That was absurd stuff. We talked about Hollow Knight Silk Song, Sea of Sorrows announcement. We talked about my takes on the remake demo, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And then some pretty good news as far as Switch 2, as far as the game card. So it was kind of like an unofficial update from a third party that is trying to work with things as far as like, cartridges for the Switch 2 version of like their game. But what they had unveiled was different card sizes, but it wasn't officially announced through Nintendo side, so I think they got in trouble for that. So having said that though, it's not official news. it's just something that will be beyond the horizon, maybe not even talk too much about. It'll just kind of start showing up as like just more game cards, all physically in the cart. So I am just totally down for that one. Unfortunately, I think the damage has been done when it comes to games like Pokemon Pokopia, which is really odd. Well, I mean, for me personally, it's unfortunate because it's the 30th anniversary. We'll talk more about it in a little bit, but I'm just happy, generally speaking, that we have more games that are going to just be all in cart and not just going to be game key cards. I have definitely just put my foot down on that. So whatever is a game key card and I want it on the Switch 2 platform, I'll just buy the digital. So like no biggie on that, but it also is something where I would like the physical. Please and thank you. So here's to hoping 2026 will change things and we have a larger library for that. But let's see. I have pickups I wanted to talk about because I got those over Christmas weekend. I will go ahead and mark down. Actually, give me a second, everybody. I need to actually write down the timestamps here. Oh, actually, no. But before that, I think I'm getting like way ahead of myself. I've been kind of just bouncing off the wall with just me yapping about without actually putting timestamps on anything. That's on me. It's also been pretty awkward with that, understandably. But I guess what I can say is that on. So I had I believe it was Christmas Eve off, right? Yeah, yeah. And then I requested like Friday off, so it was just kind of like 3 days off for me. And I was pretty much just chilling for the most part. I was clearing through as many games as I could. I believe, actually, you know what? This is actually like a news thing to talk about, or at least rather, it's an update for me. I did beat Metroid Prime 4, and then I also cleared through the first objective, the main objective for Hades 2, which is to destroy like Kronos. Although because of the factor or because of how that game is as a roguelike, you have to kind of do that over and over and over again and then do other things alongside of that. But as far as clearing the main objective, I did do that. I finally cleared that after what was like a record like 50, like maybe around 50 to 60 like attempts until I finally got through that. But the biggest thing was me clearing through Metroid Prime 4. I thought personally it would take me much longer to get through all that, but I you know what? It's it's a short game. It really is when I look at the grand scheme of things, and I try to consider the time it took for me to collect all the items and also scan everything, and considering how I was otherwise kind of taking my sweet time, as much leisure time as I was going to allow myself without feeling the need to like just blitz through everything, because otherwise I would have stopped collecting things. I would have stopped scanning things, maybe. But it said that I cleared it within like 15 hours and 22 minutes. Something like that. It was like, whoa, even with all of that in mind. And yeah, I did refer to a guide when it came to like the last couple percentages for items. And then when I found out that I totally skipped a boss scan, and I can talk about that a little bit more. So I'm not sure if anyone else goes through this. If you are playing Metroid Prime 4 and you just haven't passed through Fury Green, I got some news for you. There's multiple scans on that boss fight. Specifically the flying projectiles that will just slowly like home in on you. You need to scan those. My initial reaction to those were to just shoot them. Just shoot them down before they like actually hit you. I should have scanned it. I didn't. What's crazy is because I think there's an optional scan on the final boss, and in that particular situation, I scanned it, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad I scanned that, because I otherwise wouldn't know what to do. But I just kind of immediately just did that versus what happened like boss one. So it's unfortunate. You can rescan the main body of the boss. What happens is that you'll collect like these keys, and there's like a separate room just prior to the boss gate, and essentially it's a hologram projector of each and every boss that you collect the keys for, and you're allowed to just scan those holograms and now count towards your registry. However, if there's a very particular thing that the boss like shoots out that is part of it, that is a living organism of some sort, I'm sure, or whatever, scan that. You definitely want to scan that. It's so annoying, dude. I hate the skippable like scans that, or well, missable scans. But that's just how Metroid Prime has been. So as much as I dislike it, I'm not too hard on myself for missing that. Something just happens. But I did clear it at like 97% scan, so that's not bad. And I was scanning literally everything as best as possible. I did miss something where it's like one little individual thing that only exists in this one particular area. And if you just miss that, it's like, well, you just have to go back. But as far as my overall feelings about Metroid Prime 4, it's it's good. I cannot say how it is versus all the other Metroid Prime games except for Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, because I really like that one to a certain extent. I think I got really sick of the light versus dark world like settings here and there overall. I think as you kind of go through the story, it's great. When you're out traversing and trying to collect items and whatnot, maybe not so much. I don't know. I'd have to go back to it. It'd be nice if they re-release those, just so I can get a refreshed like look at everything. But I still really much so enjoyed that. And unfortunately, I can't say anything about Metroid Prime 1 slash the Prime Remastered. I have it back there. It's just a matter of me sitting down to actually play that. And I probably should at this point, especially since they don't have like 2 and 3 out as remakes, which they should. They should do that. I don't know what, like, I don't know. That's the most fickle thing. They had released Metroid Prime 1 Remastered like ways back. It was $30. It was crazy. And, maybe it's just one of those things where I don't remember where it is in the timeline, but maybe Retro Studios would be the ones to just go back to those games to remaster them. They could obviously get some other team to work on a remastered, sure, but I don't know. It's up to them to really release that, but it'd be nice if they released 1, 2, and 3 remastered, especially since I've never played 3. That was Wii only, and I never had that experience, but apparently a lot of people would probably gauge it. I mean, as far as like reviews go, I think Metro Prime 1 is like the most highly like regarded game, followed by 2, followed by 3, and then now 4 as kind of like the weakest link, which I was kind of expecting that. And it's not necessarily because of the NPCs or anything like that. I had no issues with the NPCs whatsoever, except for the very end, where I actively need to collect these green energies, which you will only be able to acquire by just bashing into green crystallized crystals out in Soul Valley. And it didn't take too long to collect all of them, per se, because I pretty much have been just running into those things in between jumping from one place to another. So it wasn't like too bad. My only issues were when, what was it, Miles McKenzie would talk to me over the comms while I'm out gathering green energies, saying, "Have you been collecting green energies?" I was like, "Brother, what do you think I'm working on right now?" Having said that, though, there were situations where I actively seeked out Miles McKenzie. And I like how I use the full government name here. I seek out Miles on the main map, and you press a button to essentially enter comms, and he'll give you just like a light tidbit on where I should be kind of focusing on. I kind of like that because there are times where I was going out and just getting new equipment things, and I was just trying to think about, well, was there something in this area that I never had access to, and I maybe just forgot. And he would just kind of bring that up as just kind of like, oh, check the Volt Forge. I was like, okay, well, yeah, sure. Let's try going over there. And then on my way, or just going in there, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. There was a grappling thing that I couldn't really do anything with, or I didn't have like the spider ball or anything like that. So it was useful, but as far as the green energy, miss me with that. Otherwise, Soul Valley, kind of underwhelming. It's kind of nice to ride around. If anything, it could be kind of like your cozy, like just chill and vibe for a little bit. You have like some enemies here that you'll just automatically like home in on with your like Viola bike, and then you'll just shoot them down. There's no real issues with that. And that's pretty much it. But there wasn't too much going on with that overall. But as far as the worlds, I did love how every like world was set out to be. It wasn't a crazy maze to maze type of thing. I think there's some people who really appreciated Metroidvanias to just have multiple paths here, but in Metroid Prime 4, it's more over a linear pathway from one end to another. And, take it or leave it, I still enjoyed it because it was riddled with a lot of lore and, yeah, lore, contextual stuff. My favorite was probably it's a balance between Volt Forge or Ice Spell, and those two are pretty. Yeah, they're kind of just linear as far as how you go through them. Like Volt Forge is essentially going through three towers, going from like top to bottom, and you're restoring power to each one of those towers. And then it's all of it's just an attempt to get the Viola bike. And then Ice Belt's kind of the same thing. You are going down to the lowest floor and you're restoring power, but in between all that, you're just kind of exploring a couple things. There's no real enemies to deal with until you restore the power. But in the midst of that, you find out, one of the main enemies that you're fighting in the game is actually Moon, and you're like, what the? Oh my, oh, oh, that's kind of tragic. And then of course the other worlds are pretty much explaining how we essentially talks about the whole situation with the story is that it's talking about a lost civilization and how they had their downfall. How did that happen? And I think they did a good job explaining. Well, it's kind of like the story of prosperity, greed, and then that greed turning into everyone's downfall, and then they're seeking salvation through Samus to be their savior to preserve them. And good luck to them. It's probably gonna take a good long time for that to actually happen, but Also, Ibrahim, how's it going? Hopefully your New Year's has been pretty decent. Mine's been pretty all right, but yeah, sorry all. That's part of the catch up aspect on the holidays. I definitely wanted to talk about Metroid Prime for a little bit because I really liked it. I would say that I was a fan of using different beams like in the Metroid Prime games, but having played 2 and 3, I wasn't such a big fan of like the limited ammunition that you would get. But in Metroid Prime 4, they give you a lot of ammunition per upgrade. So they essentially really want you to use that. So, and I think that's a really good thing because when you use different ammunitions for different enemies, they all react differently. What I really like to do is just with the flying drone dudes, you can literally just shoot them with a thing of ice and they just stop. And then they'll just like fall down and like take some like residual damage, maybe. But then there's some enemies that just get absolutely evaporated when you shoot like the magma hot shot thing. And then there's an electric shock, which is kind of I think it's kind of a little bit more of an underwhelming thing if you don't use like the charge version of it, because each and every one of them have a charge, and they also come with a upgrade for like a super missile equivalent. So I like the Thunder one for that, pretty much. What's going on with Metro Cords, Ibrahim? They're being discontinued, so I'm going to have to ride somewhere else. Oh, damn. Well, I guess the new year comes with new laws and everything and new changes, so we all have to adapt. We have to adapt to that. What else was that? Okay, so that was the holiday. It was literally Christmas Day. I just wrapped up on Metroid Prime 4, and then I finally cleared through Hades 2 as far as the main thing, and I had to be very specific because there's so much more in that game, similar to Hades 1, that I decided to just kind of put that off for a little bit just so I can clear through Metroid Prime 4. And now that I'm done with that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, what if I just go back to Hades 2? But I got a little discouraged by all the different things that have been established. So when you beat Hades 1 and Hades 2, the first run, you are given access to essentially a difficulty multiplier. So you can make it as difficult as you want it to. And apparently the reason you want to do that is specifically in Hades 2 is so you have these materials to upgrade your main weapons and everything. Probably some other things as well. Okay, cool. Nice. All right, I just got a notification. I got a package in the other room. and it was supposed to be a Christmas gift. It just took the longest time, but now that I have everything together, Avenger status, I can now finally like give that forward. Crazy, dude. So I was waiting for that one, and Hades 2. Yeah, I got kind of discouraged a little bit because I was just putting things a little bit too difficult for me, and I was like, dude, do I want to spend all my time just doing this? Because I could, but I also have a backlog, and that's not going to be like taken care of if I just try to 100% everything. So similar to how like the moment I found out that scans were like missed out on, then I just kind of dropped that and just kind of cleared through the game with just 100% items. In Metroid Prime 4, with Hades 2, it was just, I cleared through the main thing. I know there's more. I'll just hold it off for now, and I'll come back to that one. I'll play Hades 1 again, and I'll figure it out. Also, Iran's working on the snap. I don't know what that means in that context. I know that's like in regards to speaking of Avengers, he's writing about it. He's got something. He's writing something. So, gotcha. Stay tuned for that. That was Christmas Day. We have a lot of chocolate. We have a lot of chocolate at home. I'm so concerned because I'm like, one, I like chocolate, but two, I also know that your boy. I mean, it was like almost 2 years now since I was like diagnosed as like pre-diabetic, and given the emergencies that have gone on in October for like my eye and everything, I have a feeling that my overall health has kind of been overlooked in favor of pushing the appointments towards my like ophthalmologist in this case, and I'm grateful for that. But I don't know, when I saw my primary to get the referral, they did do all, well, I'm not, maybe not everything, but I did have a blood test and everything like that, but they never talked about any sugar levels for me. They never talked about like the pre-diabetic test. Now, granted, I didn't even tell them about that, but like it was just one of those things where the only thing that they recommended for me was vitamin D supplements, because your boy doesn't go out a lot. But it's also weird because, I asked them about like, well, could I just simply walk out and just do more walks? Because I guess I can kind of incorporate that. And the guy was saying like, yeah, well, yeah. Well, doctor was saying, well, yeah, you could do that, but it may not be like the most efficient way to get it. But and also the fact is that there are like concerns about overexposure, like out in the sun type of thing, even for what you need. So might just be better just have supplements. So okay, yeah, all right. And then I also I'm taking some medications. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that as I just shake it up, but I got some medications just like for eye, and they're essentially diuretics, so that like the fluid that's underneath like my retina over here can like just get flushed down over time. It should be a lot better because I'm not, even with the smallest intakes of caffeine. Um, Also, I just realized the lights, the it's right here. My bad, everybody. Usually that's supposed to be like off screen, just a little bit. Just all right, cool. I didn't see it. There's just too many like objects in the background over there. I'm like, yeah, it looks great. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, so that's the current health update there. I will definitely follow through with my health appointments this year. The only thing I'm really missing is probably dental appointments, because I have not really touched on that for years. So, but I do brush and floss daily, so we should be all right. Shouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Plus, I haven't felt any pain in my teeth either, so we're okay. But we'll still follow up. What else is there? Uh, oh yeah, and I was saying, yeah, we have so much chocolate. It's ridiculous amount. So this next holiday, I'll definitely just simmer down on that and maybe just go for like some quick goodies that isn't of the sugar variety. And then what happened? I'm trying to remember what happened on the 26th. I believe that was essentially the Christmas with friends type situation, and I kind of showed off everything that I got from that. I got whatchamacallit, I have well, I mean, I was looking at the Pikachu over there. That's a little bit separate, but we got this little Kirby guy. He just kind of sits here and does whatever. But he can also like hold pens or pencils and whatnot, the equivalent. And I was like, that's cute, but I probably won't actually do that because when he holds it, he smushes his face in. And he's like, ugh. I also got this this keychain here. It's another Kirby thing that came with it. I was like, well, I think my friends actually just bundled them together. It's like, oh, very nice. I don't know what I want to do with this one. I think I'll just probably put it on a bag or something, just so it's easily identifiable. On top of that, they also had this little Christmas ornament from the Nintendo store over in like Japan, and it's cute. It's got Yoshi on this side, but it's essentially just like the different little snowmen equivalents of the characters here. So pretty cute. The only sad part is I don't actually have Christmas trees. So like one of the Pokemon things I got from like the 2024, I can't really do much with that. But another friend of mine gave me these little car coasters. They're essentially little tiny like coasters you would get for like your drinks, but this time it's for the cup holders. And let me actually pull them out like right now. Oh, I'll speak another thing. Another friend gifted me this little cup. They all have they have different graphics like applied to them. This one's just some like guy in a robe, but the main thing is that it's the man of mystery because I'm the guy who doesn't really talk a lot in that group. Fair enough. Meanwhile, and I got one that was straight up just trifling. I had a good giggle from that. But these are the little car coasters. They're Kirby themes. So you have regular Kirby, and then you have like the dark affiliate one that I think I only seen in like Smash Brothers. So not bad. But yeah, essentially they'll just sit at the very bottom, and then you'll just like have a drink on top of that. Nice, nice. That was a hand. This is a handcrafted thing, so I appreciate that. And then I also had like Secret Santa stuff. I won't really go too much into those until we go into the little segment of pickups because yeah, they're pickups. Also, I'm trying to remember. Was there's multiple things? No, actually. So my cousin went to Japan as well. Multiple cousins in addition to my friends like who gifted those. The Pikachu over here. Apparently she went to the Pokemon Center Hiroshima, and so yeah, they have a little cute tag here, but it is a Pikachu with this nice jacket, and they got Magikarp and Gyarados here. The shiny Gyarados is crazy. My cousin got a gift as well, and it's just a plush of Gyarados that you can actually kind of adjust and affix its like pose with Pikachu just sitting on like the back of it. It's pretty cute. I'm appreciative of that since I don't really give myself physical things anymore. But All right, I will jump into pickup. But let me just check up on chat real quick. You know what's crazy? Says Ibrahim. ChatGPT's actually gave me like the reward for comic co-writer. How do you get an award from ChatGPT? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'll type in a couple things here and there, and they don't really. I mean, they just kind of give me what I need, but they don't really praise me like that. I'm like, what the hell? Although for me personally, what I'll typically do is I'll just type in ChatGPT about like just general things about uh like deals and whatnot. Like, are there any deals that were floating around like around this time? And it gave me some vague stuff, and I'm like in the midst of that, I was thinking in my back of my head, that there's something that I was trying to confirm about a membership at like a certain place, and seeing if they actually allow you like a free. I think it was an Owala like water bottle. Considering that like my in-law had just gotten something from that, and they didn't confirm that, so I was like, interesting. Interesting. Anyway, let's talk about pickups. Let's talk about pickups, and then at the very end, we'll talk about New Year's goals and resolutions. I'll try to keep it brief. I know I talked about it on the podcast, so if anyone or in another stream, so if anyone who's coming from that Yeah, no. I'll keep it brief. But pickups, guys. I have a couple of them. I'll start with this one. It's actually not even a game. My friend, the pair that actually gave me like that cup, right? The other one gave me this complete set for Mega Man, the series, the cartoon, the one where it's like the fighting robot, Mega Man. Man, you know what? I knew this was a thing, but I never really just like went for it because I don't particularly like buy like Blu-rays of anything. The only last time I bought something that was Blu-ray was the Sonic one, Sonic Boom, that anime series, because I heard it was like really, really funny for no reason whatsoever. But this is only this Mega Man Complete series is only like 27 episodes. So they say. They say it's got your powers. Oh yeah, that's right. That's the whole thing is that he'll literally steal powers. Not just by being the boss, but just like in the midst of the fight. And that reminds me of the bit where he's like, "Now I got your power" at like Pharaoh Man, and then Pharaoh Man like literally just socks him right like point blank for doing that. um, what does it say? Battle through all 27 episodes for both seasons of the classics Ruby Spears series, the one disc set for Mega Man. Okay, actually, wait, I was gonna say, where did he get this from? Actually, there are other ways you can buy this, but I was trying to remember if there was something from Comic Con since like the pair do go there. Actually, a lot of my friends go to like Comic Con prior to me even knowing them, and then even then knowing them, we don't even see each other. That's the craziest thing. I should try to find a way to like just reconnect with everybody or connect with them like when we're over there. Okay, so pickups as far as the game side. It's crazy. So I'll tell you right now, my Secret Santa amongst that entire group was Phil. So I was in good hands at that point, and I didn't even know what I wanted to put down for my Secret Santa. We use like an app that just rolls like whoever gets who, and apparently you can set parameters such as like, hey, if you got a significant other, you can opt it so that if you're the one organizing it, you can make sure that certain uh couples don't get each other. So it's a little bit more like of a random type of thing. So just to keep it up, you know, throw it up. But I guess they didn't talk about like best friends, you know. I was in good hands, but otherwise I was like new to the app. Otherwise, as far as wish listening things, so I mean, I didn't really know what I really wanted. But I guess if anything, I'm always trying to pick up games, so that's fair. So Phil gave me, and it was kind of crazy because he was going to give me like and Naya a gift anyway. So he gave me as a Secret Santa Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, and I was like, okay, that's really sick. So I know I want to get this. I just have had the longest time just debating whether or not I wanted to get this on Nintendo Switch or I just kind of stick with PlayStation. And I guess I could have went with Xbox as well. Um, but I chose not to because I was going to get 1 and 2 HD later on. But the problem is that if I want it and it's like full splendor, it's full version for Switch 2, you have to get a game key card. Cycling back to the beginning of this podcast where I was talking about like how I don't really want to mess with game key cards at all. So yeah, I didn't know what I could do considering I had like physical like options out there. I could have went with Xbox, but I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's just put on PlayStation on this one. I know Xbox hasn't really been supporting physicals for their first party, if anything, which is kind of trifling. I get why they do that, but I'm not really a big fan of that. But yeah, no, I was like super psyched about that. I was like, okay, cool. And I was thinking to myself, like, wait, wasn't 2 HD as well as 1 and 2 HD as well as 3 on sale? I was like, oh wait, he might have something like planned out, and he did because he got the other one as just like the general gift for me. So it's both of Dragon Quest 2 and 1. And if you put these side by side, you see they're part of the same illustration. And I was like, ah, that is very, very sick. Okay. So not bad. I just have to sit down and actually play them. I really should. I really, really should. But yeah, so that's kind of it. I when I'm looking outwards to the games coming out this year, you know what? I haven't really been really honed in on any particular one because a lot of them, especially if we're talking about Nintendo first party, which we will definitely talk about, and it's kind of the pseudo topic. I mean, we could probably about that. We could probably talk about that more, like after talking about New Year's resolutions and whatnot. In fact, I'll just go and write that down. 2026 onwards, but yeah, I haven't really been focusing on that. We'll see how I guess my pickups will go over the year. But right now, it'd be nice if I just had like maybe just one new game like per month to just kind of like pick at. But that's kind of all I got so far. I haven't really been thinking too much about it. The only thing that I know about right now from the top of my head right now is Animal Crossing New Horizons Nintendo Switch 2 edition plus the update, which I don't remember what it was called. I think it was just simply just an additional update. It's not thing like, what was it, Mario Brothers Wonder getting the Switch 2 edition plus I think meets at Bell Bell Park, which is kind of suspicious, but you know. All right. So, this would have been a great opportunity. It's a shame that I don't actually have like the guys with me to talk about like their particular goals because I mean, this is me just going through it for the umpteenth time. So New Year's resolutions, goals, and the like. I literally sat down for a stream and just talked and just outlined it everything because I wanted to go through 2025 and everything. I'm not gonna do that here, but I went through all that and I was like, okay, so what did I actually do? What did I get done? And to be fair, I actually did a pretty decent job. So with 2026, I want to one kind of maintain the now evolved money goal that I had in mind. Your boy is trying to save quite a bit, so that was kind of one of those things where like I want to invest big time. Where I wanted to get to a point where I could just take stuff as far as like dividends that are being paid out because I just have a holding somewhere here, and then whatever I get paid like for my job, I would literally just whatever hasn't been taken out to my like 401 but just take the rest of that net pay, right, and then just shove that into the account. Just do it, put it there. I don't need to even see it. I don't even need to have my hands on it. So all right, fair enough. So right now I have a goal in mind. I wanted to continue to like max out like the IRA, which is like separate from the 401, separate from the brokerage account, but just max that out per usual. That's kind of easy. Um, and then earn like something like weekly from like dividends. But then for the most part, I just kind of take like a portion of that and just put the rest back in. Essentially just compound growing that. So we're good. So I mean this is not flex, but it was literally the day of. It was January 1st where I was like, okay, well, let's just nip this in the bud because the stars align. I got paid on I think the 31st. So I'm grateful for that. That meant that like I actually had just enough to put contributions into my IRA. And what I typically like to do, I just like to just lump sum the entire like maxed amount in there, just so that when taxes come in and they're asking, oh well, what'd you do for contributions if we wanted to like help with that? And I was like, okay, I believe what it is that they will probably ask you one, the full amount that you contributed, and two, probably maybe the dates in which you did that. So if I could just say that, oh, on January 1st, I literally just dumped this amount, perfect. But that does kind of hit a little bit. that does that does hit me to a certain extent. So here's to hoping that when bills come through, I have enough. But we should be all right. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's see. I talked about needing my dental appointments to be like sorted out, so I will do that, as well as maintain the doctor's appointments I have like this month actually. So I'm already on track with that one, so we're good. And then a workout goal is just maintain what I'm doing right now. I've been super happy about it. Like I mean, granted, it's kind of weird right now. I'm on like vacation, so I'm like relaxing quite a bit instead of really like working out. And my stuff is not really intensive. I think uh one that's really committed would really make a whole hour count or two. There's reasons why people just go in there for like hours at a time at the gym. For me, I will usually just push a lot of my stuff to like after work. Immediately after work, I am just like lifting weights. I'm on that treadmill. That's it. And I won't even like maybe I'll do an hour, but that's nowhere near enough time for me to really just work out all the different like muscle groups, even like within like a certain area, because there's a bunch of other things I would like to do. But if you're working out arms, you probably need the whole hour. But I also want to go on the treadmill because I feel like I need to do more cardio stuff because my weight hasn't really been like all the way down. I'm currently at like 190 something, and I think it'd be kind of cool to be in the mid 180s, so maybe even like under that. Maybe. It kind of depends. Because I wonder what it would look like if I really slim down, and what does it take to even like hold that? Also, I realized that I haven't even put this as a goal, but I can totally do that. Um, I'll put it in my socializing, whatchamacalls it, goal. And that is, oh, oh my God. Sorry, I had a little fit with my phone trying to input text here. Instead of trying to hover into one thing, it was highlighting something else, and I was always pressing the wrong thing. And it's better to describe it, and well, it's better to show it at that point. Let's see. I am going to, I'll probably get back to that as far as tell you guys once we're at that point. But I also have some streaming goals as well. So multi-streaming right now. We're streaming on Twitch and YouTube right now. But as far as what I typically do outside of even the podcast, it's uh, you know, it is Twitch and it is YouTube and it's also TikTok as well. So I want to do that a little bit more often, multi-stream across all three of them. And then I also wanted to put an emphasis on community-based ones where it could be multiplayer oriented, like Pokemon, it could be Mario Kart, it could be Kirby Air Riders. I put Splatoon there as well. Maybe I should do that at some point because I know that there's an event going on there. It was funny because what's the question? The question was, who do you spend your holidays with, or who would you prefer to? And one of them is with friends, the other one's with family, and one of them is like by myself. And it's big man as by myself. So I'm like, oh shoot. Oh no. I need to get back into Splatoon 3 for that. It's just I don't know. I think I'm kind of scared of the meta. I'm scared of like the sweats out there. But it's also something where you can just have a good time. I should really just maybe recruit like a group of people to just have fun with that. Maybe. But yeah, so that's definitely a big focus for me is to multi-stream and also to make more group orientated streams so that people have much more of an interest to stay in and also like participate because I think some people are chill with just hanging out, but I think when it comes to reaching a wider audience, you kind of have to do a little bit more, be of use, be of service, be a reason to jump in. Splatfest is done. Oh, okay, all right, fair enough. See, I wasn't even like I just checked it maybe a few days ago on Switch Online, and they did just push that out there. That's a decent way to advertise it, by the way. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. You know what? I feel like that's the thing you could put on Nintendo Today. I think they may have had that. Oh, you know what? They've done some crazy stuff with Nintendo Today. Well, not crazy, but they have done something for the Nintendo Museum there. They have a little animation for the 30th anniversary Pokemon. We'll talk about that later. Um, just a bunch of other things. All right, fair enough. Oh, wait, I still need my phone. Wait a minute. All right. So I have some social goals as well. So I'm up here. I'm on this little podium that is just my desk. And I'm talking to y'all. And you may have already gotten like a hint of that earlier in the podcast when I was just doing intros and introductions and doing really awkward segues, but I'm not like that social of a person. Just like how this cup literally says man of mystery because I don't really talk in like that group. That's kind of me in general. And there are different reasons for that. One, I'm not interested, and two, I'm like drained of my social battery, and three, I just don't like no one's passing the ball to me. That's the best way I can say describe it. But it's it's also a problem too because you can make all the convenient excuses you want, but if you really want things to kind of go your way, or at least if you really want to make an earnest effort towards something, you have to make the steps yourself. And that's not me putting pressure on y'all to do anything, but this is just for me to do something. So my issue is that I need to kind of engage just a little bit more. But I do come across those issues when it comes to socializing with other people, even friends, even cousins, where everyone's kind of talking about something and I'm just like I'm there, I'm in the moment, I'm listening, but it feels like I have to chime in. I have to vocally like it's kind of like the whole raise my hand, be called upon. I mean, I'm not gonna do that, but like I could do that, but I'd otherwise have to interject and say something. But the problem is I don't know if I have a strong like opinion about what they're saying, you know? Because I mean, I'm great at listening, but it's different when you need to engage and respond to somebody. Or does that person just want to just talk? Because I am around a lot of talkative people, so that's also fair. But one of my goals, I mean, I have to keep it kind of vague here. I have to really know what's going on in my environments here, but I just went with stuff like, oh, well, I need to start initiating more. I need to be the one to start like a conversation. I also have wanted to be somebody that people can just turn to and talk to. Maybe not outright get all the answers from, but like to be somebody where they can talk about their problems, they can talk about the day to day, and I'm willing to listen and maybe also better myself in responding back. Another issue that I have is just when I do talk, I should really not use filler words like or if I need to be silent just so I can figure out what words I want to say before saying like or then I should probably do that. And I noticed this early on in the podcast. I was just saying like, and I probably was saying as well. It's difficult, especially when you're so used to doing that. That habit's really hard to break, but I think this is the first time I'm actually consciously thinking about it when I'm making a goal like this one. But you know what? I had someone in the chat. I was doing this whole list again in a previous live stream. It was it was probably it was the 29th. Sorry, it was the 29th of December. I made this little stream where I was just hashing out all the New Year's goals and resolutions from 2025, talking about 2026 and just establishing that kind of stuff. But they were talking about one of the main common things that one could talk about would be music, hobbies, and I was thinking about adding talking about someone's like goals and aspirations in life. Not just resolutions, but just generally speaking, what you guys are doing. Because, people love to really talk about that. In any case, TLDR, I just want to just be more of a social butterfly because if you were to ask me where do I sit on the spectrum of extrovert, introvert, I would probably be, all right, two ends here. I'd probably be where the mic is. So I'm kind of like introvert, extrovert. I'm kind of right here in the introvert space. But everyone has like they have a work mode type of persona, right? Even though I also slip with that too. I'm also the one to be trying to keep myself busy. But yeah, social, social stuff. I have a content goal as well, which is somewhat separate from live streaming, but it's just to make more shorts on YouTube and TikTok. I was like, I can actually say that because I'm not on TikTok right now, and I won't be shadow banned for that. But I also made a note to say that niches are good, like Pokemon, but I hate the feeling of off season posting, which is very very important because I don't want myself to just have dead periods of doing nothing, not feeling inspirational. I would just like to post regularly about whatever. I think if you get to a point where you have people who just kind of tune in for whatever, I think that's the greatest feeling in the world. But it can also be really difficult when things like Pokemon, for example, we have a 30th anniversary, but on the off seasons, on the off years, even the off months, what are you posting about? Are you just not? Because that is an option to do nothing, but that is also an opportunity for you to have gotten someone else to just check out your stuff, a potential like loyal person to just kind of stick to whatever content you post. But that's kind of difficult. It's difficult. And then I have a social media goals, which let's could be used. Oh yeah, so I was pretty vague on this one because it's regarding social media platforms as a whole. So I just post there regarding like clips, like clips. That's all I can really say. I could post things on Twitter/X about my current feelings about this and that and this and that, but there are times where I just don't feel like posting anything. And I feel the same way when it comes to Instagram. I used to use Instagram a lot back when I think college is when I really got serious with it. I think I made mine in like high school, but I don't even remember what that was like back then. Yeah, I think if I wanted to do something with something like Instagram, there's definitely the personal aspect, but as far as content related stuff, that's a little difficult for me to conjure up right now, but give me a little bit of time, I probably could figure that out. And then it'd just be about how to manage posting all that kind of stuff because that also takes a little bit of time. And then I have a monthly streaming events goal. Doesn't really have much to do with DangIT Prodcast, the YouTube channel regarding that one. I also, yeah, I just realized I just said that. I not even said a word. It was and gotcha. Someone mentioned in that live stream music reactions, and I pretty much just filtered that to video game music. And I was thinking that's not a bad idea, actually. I mean, we're not strangers with reactions across the board. I have burned to my hand when it came to reaction videos in the past on this YouTube channel. So I don't think we're going to do that per se for the DangIT Productions side of things, but on the personal channel, maybe. Um, Reaction to trailers, but also other monthly streaming events such as I remember we used to have like a attorney for Smash Brothers. That was cool. That was cool. I just never was that big or gung ho when it came to fighting games, so it was definitely nice to have someone like Anaya or Phil to jump in on that one. Also Mark as well. He's also pretty big on the fighting game stuff. Or at least fighting to competitive side of things. And then I have a positivity goal, better outlook on things. I did it again. I have a doom scrolling one. It's important because doom scrolling has literally taken over my life and has taken over hours accumulatively of what I do on a day to day. So I even mentioned that this prevents me from having good sleep. prevents me from being productive at all. So I need to just stop doing that. And then I have a gaming goal to, it's pretty much an unspoken rule, but I just put it on here, but finish 10 plus games. So when we have our end of the year talks, which we still need to do, everyone's just really busy to talk about like our top 10 games played in 2025. But now I have one for 2026. So I need to focus on that. And then I have a new thing, which is to try new things. I have here, I gotta watch some new shows, something I could talk about for the podcast, or just generally speaking, music, movies, comics. I might think about that. I also have something here to visit the Nintendo store. Please, please. And I have a list of food places I would like to actually tackle real quick. Also, visit friends a little bit more. I'm talking mainly about like Mark and Seppi at this point. So yeah, that's all my New Year's resolutions written out there. I think I can now talk about the last thing, which oh shoot. Hold on. Okay. So now we're at 2026, talking about the games coming out onwards. It's kind of the thumbnail of everything. And I apologize. I don't really mean to like push everything as far as what's the thumbnail talking about to the very end for everyone to just stick around and do that. That's definitely a ploy, and I'll respect people for doing that. Unless they're wasting my time. Which in that case I may have just wasted your guys' time. I apologize. But it's important. This is 2026. It's a brand new year for Nintendo Switch 2. We do have a handful of Nintendo Switch 1. And I mean, right now I just kind of want to talk about Nintendo. We can talk about Xbox and PlayStation another time. But this is the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. Pokemon has their anniversary in February, late February. And it is their 30th. So Pokemon Champions is somewhere around here. We have Pokemon Pokopia, but that's kind of it, right? I mean, if you're following the other mobile games and they have a lot of them, then there's stuff for you there. But for me personally, I would really love to see new additional side off games like Pokopia. I would also like to see something maybe like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon equivalent, maybe something like that. But I think the biggest thing I would ever want to wish list, just verbally wish list, Pokemon Gen 10. It's been a while. It's been a while. Scarlet and Violet were Gen 9. They came out in 2023. And now we're just waiting for the new generation, right? They're done with the DLC over there. So, and they just wrapped up on DLC or just released DLC for Pokemon Legends ZA, which is kind of a filler between things. It's been fun though. And now what we have some folks saying like they have rumors, they have data mines of like what the current gen is going to be like, but I'm just really curious as to what the direction is going to be now that we've had games like Scarlet and Violet. We have games like Legends ZA. Are they going to reinvent the wheel, or are they going to simply tweak things from Scarlet and Violet to make that formula a little bit better? Are we going to downsize it and focus on different things? A lot of these questions I have in mind. And that's not even talking about the starters that we might have. There's no news about that. I'm just generally curious about that too. But it is a pretty important year, and they typically like to plan like really cool things. So my hope, more games. The things I don't want is just a flood of updates for just existing mobile games. Because even though I'm in that area where it's like, okay, well, I have some free to play games I do play, and I'd rather just have them update those instead of just trying to make a brand new thing. But in this case, I'm on the other side. I will pay you. I will pay you money so you can actually fund more cool ideas. Like I think Pokopia is like a really interesting one, and I feel that they've tried something like this before, but maybe now's the time. Maybe now's the time. So I'm just kind of down for that. Please Please. I mean, what would y'all want for a Pokemon game if you're like interested at all? You know, a Poke Park would be kind of interesting. Give you control over like whatever Pokemon. Oh shoot, I didn't even talk about it. But yeah, so new gen spin-off games are great, especially if there's something I'm interested in particularly. But sorry, I'm thinking about it. NSO updates. So if they drop Coliseum and Gale of Darkness, or just one or the other, just this year, that's all they need to do. That's all they need to do. And then the chair on top, make that something you can transfer over to Pokemon Home. I promise you, you'd be doing like good work if you just did that bare minimum. But maybe that's too much. I just like listen. I I guess to make this clean, if they were going to do anything for Pokemon for the 30th anniversary, that isn't a brand new Pokemon game. It isn't a new side thing. It can just be Pokemon Coliseum and or Gale of Darkness over on the NSO, Nintendo GameCube Classics, or Nintendo Classics, whatever. Just do that. Make it compatible to Pokemon Home. Just do that. That's all. That's all I want. Have a reason to play that game again. I played through that game several times. You know, someone was I think someone jumped into a raid last time when I was streaming Pokemon, and they were talking about them playing through some of the classic games over and over and over again. And you know, I like that idea of doing that because you know, if you're not that big on collecting things, then you can just go through the game like multiple times. And I definitely did that with the GameCube games. They're just that good. It was in a time where we didn't have like a full-fledged 3D Pokemon on console. You know, in the sense of it being like, I mean, we do now. Since Sword and Shield, we now have mainline 3D Pokemon games fully rendered and everything like that. And they're just action are I should say I was gonna say I shouldn't say action for a Pokemon game if it ain't Pokken as a fighting game or some other game like Pokepark, but it's the first time we've had control of a trainer commanding their Pokemon, doing a whole journey type of thing. So it's really good for that. And what I really liked about it was it gave you access to Pokemon that you otherwise don't have access to on just the mainline games. Back then, that was Ruby and Sapphire, that was Emerald, that was Fire Red, Leaf Green. And Pokemon Coliseum would give you access to the Johto starters. Not as like little babies or anything like that, but you know, like that. I think Gale of Darkness also allows for that too, but the the requirements for that one's a little bit higher. I never really got to that. That'd be nice. It'd be really cool if I could transfer like Pokemon to and from uh one of the GameCube games to Pokemon Home. I think that'd be really nice, especially dealing with some of the higher level difficulty things like in that game. Like you can get Ho-Oh in, I believe, Gale of Darkness. I believe you may also be able to do that in. No, actually, you could get that in Coliseum, but you have to go through the Mount 100, and they're all scaled up Pokemon, and you just use like your listing of Pokemon, whether it be like in that game file or Pokemon that you've transferred over. So that'd be kind of dope. That'd be kind of dope. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying for NSO. And then I think the biggest thing that it wouldn't be that it would just be the classic Pokemon games. Bring them over. NSO, hell, make them just a collection, a separate like 60, 70, hell, $80 bundle of like every single Pokemon game up to I mean that wishful thinking, but let's say going up to Pokemon well, sorry. Wait, why am I blanking on it? Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Pretty much up to that point. All the way down. They could do that. Granted, I don't think that's something that they would be willing to do. I think they would try to like downsize that and make it into like bundle packs of, maybe Gen 1 to Gen 3 and then 4 to 6. And then maybe, well, Sword and Shield is Gen 8, right? Yeah. So there's a little bit of an odd situation going on there. So I mean, they could do something. They can figure something out. I'm just saying, bring the classic Pokemon games back. If you're not gonna remake them, I guess that's the next best thing. Just make a remake of like the Pokemon games. I'm just putting out ideas here. I'm just putting out those ideas. You don't have to do anything for me. I just would have that I would just want that you release those games out there. There's also a couple other games here. We're kind of shifting away from Pokemon. Animal Crossing New Horizons will have the Nintendo Switch 2 release this month. I believe it's on the 15th. And it's really just an up-res. It's 4K Animal Crossing, not even a 60 frame update to that. And it's just $5. So, I mean, if you want better resolution for what is already a pretty decently good art style that can it does a lot of heavy lifting, then yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I don't really know if there's anything else that they can do, to be honest, with that. But they do have updates to the game. So, kind of like how they were giving updates to, like, what was it, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is actually kind of a nice thing that they would continue to do. And I'm kind of down for it. It would be the cozy stream that would like play. Be kind of nice. Although I don't know if there's a lot of people who tune in for that. I guess we'd have to check the respective platforms and just see, like, is there anybody kind of just doing that on the regular? I mean, Animal Crossing is nice. It is a fun time, but yeah, no. And then we have Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. I'm not even talking about Rhythm Heaven. I should bring that up. But Tomodachi Life, we don't have a release date on that one, I don't believe. I mean, I have to double check. But that's kind of later. That's a Nintendo Switch 1 game, too. They're committing to Nintendo Switch 1 games for the time being, but at a certain point, they're gonna have to stop, right? After all, they want to make sure the sales for Switch 2 are plentiful, so they're gonna need to really focus on resources there. I only see a 2026 general like time frame. That's it, which I'm okay with. They also need to do Rhythm Heaven, but that's also a Nintendo Switch 1 game. So as far as 2026 games, I only know of the Dust Bloods, which is, licensed for first party here. Well, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be on Switch 2, and that's from Software. That's gonna be pretty sick. But as far as Nintendo Switch 2 games, I might actually need to games in 2026. I might have to look that up right now. That's funny. Actually, you know what? I was looking at this in a previous stream. This was December 30th, actually, that they posted this. The game's coming out in 2026. So they have Pokemon Pokopia. So, alright, good. They have Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. So, I mean, that's not first party, but that's kind of a big deal for Nintendo to have a mainline Final Fantasy just dropping there without any compromises to it as far as what Final Fantasy 15 has done. Tomodachi Life. And then they talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of games. They also talk about Dragon Quest. So it's not all the first parties listed here. They also will list out just some really popular third parties that are also releasing there. And they also have Mario Tennis Fever. You see Yakuza here. You have Resident Evil. And then Pokemon Pokopia, Monster Hunter 3, Stories 3, sorry. I believe that's also on different platforms as well. They even talk about 007 First Light. They're not bad. And then there's Mario Brothers Wonder. Oh, I totally forgot about this one. This is Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. That's Autumn. They also have Fire Emblem. I am actually kind of looking forward to Fire Emblem. I think I should jump back into Three Houses at some point. I just, you know what? I still enjoy it, but it otherwise performance and the presentation of it, it's kind of lacking on Switch One. It's just kind of a rough thing to look at. I'm not gonna lie, but otherwise, I think it's pretty engaging. You know, it is also really engaging. Sorry. Fire Emblem Engage aesthetically looks fantastic. You know what? Props to them to somehow like turn that thing around. But that is to say, I do still like Three Houses. But now we talk about the Dust Bloods. They all talk about Orbitals as well. That was really, or at least that was shown off for a little bit. I think that was Game Awards, right? That's where we first saw that. Like literally not too long ago. But that's a co-op puzzle type of adventure game, which has like a really wonderful like 80s and 90s anime aesthetic. So not bad. They also talk about Indiana Jones. So yeah, Switch 2, I mean, it's interesting because third party wasn't really showing up as well in the Wii U days. And they definitely showed up for Nintendo Switch, but the problem was is that, well, maybe one of the problems was the power accessibility of the Nintendo Switch being really subpar even on its release. So now we're dealing with some like beefier hardware. So I think that means that you're going to see a lot of third parties that originally weren't there just show up, kind of like Elden Ring. Although I'm really curious as to how Elden Ring's going to work. We still need to hear more about that. But yeah, so they're definitely focusing on. I mean, we just listed out a couple of, like the first parties, but otherwise, third party also has kind of a big significance here too. So that's just an FYI there. There's also a coming soon link here. Hold on. Oh yeah, Pragmata. That's but that's also third party. Kind of trying to see every single first party that they got going on here, but that's kind of rough. Also, I didn't realize was Tales of Berseria remaster going to be February? I thought it was actually this month. Go figure. But yeah, I think that's everything we have listed out here. I'm gonna be real honest with you. It's not like the strongest lineup of first party for me. My big thing is Zelda. It's Pokemon. It's Mario. But not necessarily the sports titles Mario, although those are kind of cool too. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. But otherwise, I am excited for the third parties, and it does make me wonder, well, where am I going to get them on? You know. Um, Having said though, if they are going to be game key cards, immediate default not on Switch 2. Listen, I like Switch 2, but I don't like those game key cards. That's a personal though. So if you guys do that, all the more power to you. But I think that's everything. I somehow was able to yap for like an hour. That's the crazy thing. We'll keep it consistent anyway. But yeah, I think that's everything. So if there's anything that y'all have been kind of eyeballing for the year, then by all means, like let me know. I know that when we jump back into this next time and people are a little bit more available, then people can really talk about their particular things that they've been focusing on. So good for them. But in the meantime, I guess for now we'll just go ahead and call it here. So guys, we'll wrap it up for that. First episode 2026, not bad. So yeah, guys, episode 572 of DangIT Prodcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. So take care of yourselves until then, everybody. See you next time. Hashtag bye, everybody.